Jake said like, no, you have to be bold. You have to say that you have 30 years of experience. And I was like, I am 19. You know that. And he was like, no, you don't understand. This is not how marketing works. If you have 7 construction workers and each of them have some years of experience, if you add it up, eventually it will be 30. And so you will use that. And my name was Jake's Builders, over 30 years of experience in construction, blah, 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 something like that. But anyway, it worked. It worked. I found my first customer. And somehow, but I remember like today, I think I told him, I can't remember what was the price. Let's say I told him like £5,000 to renovate this coffee shop near Liverpool Street. And let's say I told him £5,000 and he agreed. And then I called him in about a day and I said like, no, it was not enough. It's not 5,000. It's actually
Oh my God.
7,000. He said, oh, why is that? And I explained, I can't remember what did I say. I mean, I wouldn't do something like this today. I would be ashamed. But back then I was just like, yeah, okay, 2,000 pounds more. But anyway, somehow it worked, and I remember like today when I was interviewing construction teams, and some contractors in coffee shops, like in Starbucks, basically, I had my notebook and I was rating them. Oh, this team is good, 4 stars, and this team is amazing, 5-star, and this guy was drunk, so only 2.5 stars. and yeah, anyway, and I found that first customer, and I found the first team, and basically I put them all together, and I made, I can't remember how much made. I think it was about not even £1,000 profit in about 3 weeks' time, but £1,000, that was a lot of money by then. At least for me, by almost not doing anything. I didn't do any work. But yeah, this is how it started. And then I built it to a few million turnover. And then in 2007-8 credit crunch, I lost everything. And I have to start all over again.
So what was different now that you had to restart everything after the credit crunch?
Going back to my conversation with Patrick, my first mentor, he actually told me something like that. He said, and remember, you have to lose everything 3 times, or you have to go bankrupt 3 times to become a proper entrepreneur.
Welcome to Your Wordless Podcast, the space where we redefine success, self-worth, and transformation. I am Nick Nieras, the soul-centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self-mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now let's dive in.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So Jake, okay, I'd like to take all my listeners and my guests a trip down memory lane first. Can you share with us what was it like growing up as a Jake Smolarek?
What do you want to know exactly? So I don't want to spread too much.
Well, just whatever pops in your head right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was always very entrepreneurial from very beginning. I was always trying to make some extra money. I don't really come from like very rich family. We always have enough, but if I wanted to have something more, I needed to be entrepreneurial, right? I needed to, if I wanted to get some money, if I wanted to have something new, I have to be smart. I have to be clever. I have to find a way. And I think, and I'm glad actually, because I learned entrepreneurship from the very beginning. I learned that in life, if you want something, you have to go and get it, or at least try. And then I came to the UK. I came to the UK when I was 19 with £150, which is about $180 in my pocket, and a big dream that I want to be super successful. I didn't even know what that meant at that time. I just knew that I want more in life.
And since then, you've been living in London?
Yes, I've been living in the UK, in London for 21 years now. I just turned 40.
Wow. Well, congratulations and happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
So why London? I'm curious.
I mean, like, London in Europe, it's like New York in America. It's the
Is that
capital of the
right?
world. It
Is that
is,
right?
it's
Okay,
it's
okay.
a capital of the world. Yes, it changed quite a lot in the last 20 years, but London, it's just like when people ask me like why London, I always say because that's where the money is, man. That's where the money
I
is.
mean, you cannot lie, yeah. Like my favorite city in the world has to be New York. So when you said it, it was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love New York, London is the best. It's the
Really?
best. It
You're the
is.
second person who's actually said that. I mean, the other person was a friend, is a friend, but he was like, among all the cities I've visited all over the world, I still go back to London. Not because he is Brit, but London just has this vibrance
Mm.
to it. Okay, I've never been to Europe. It's a shame, but I've been to the States though, so it's ironic. I should pay London a visit soon.
Oh, you should. I mean, you walk around London and you just see history everywhere.
Is that
New
right?
York is not even was like just over 300 years old. Londinium was built by Romans thousands years ago. Before
Okay.
before Christ. So you walk here and you just see history everywhere.
Okay. You probably sold me on that one. Okay. So I will go to the questions, okay, Jake. Now I want to ask you 150 pounds and a big dream. What did you do from the moment you got it to, you set foot in London? What did you do?
So one of the first things that I did when I came here is because I was reading a lot of self-help book and business books. Always, I understood that everybody need a mentor. Everybody needs someone. No one can succeed on their own. So immediately I started looking for someone who can help me, become successful. And I found myself a mentor, and I told him like, "Hey, I want to be very successful." And he started asking very brutal questions like, "What success means to you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I want to be rich." It's like, "What's rich for you?"
What
You
is
know?
your rich?
And I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "Give me amount." And I said like, "I want to be extremely rich. I want to make 50,000 pounds a year." And he kind of smiled at me. It's like 50,000. And this guy was a multi millionaire living in Mayfair. And Mayfair is basically like one of the most expensive places on earth. He
Right.
still lived there, by the way. Yeah, and he was extremely rich, but he was very nice. He was very polite. He smiled. I was like, okay, you have to start somewhere. Well, 50,000 pounds 21 years ago was a little bit more than today, but anyway, it's
Yes.
still not like extremely a lot of money, especially when you live in London, and London, believe me, is very expensive.
I've
Uh,
heard that too.
yeah, I think the only place that was more expensive than London was Tokyo when I visited Tokyo, and it was very expensive.
No, I was in Tokyo 2 years ago.
It's
Okay, well, okay.
expensive.
It is?
It is. Anyway,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Well,
So
anyway, yeah.
so Patrick, my mentor, he just looked around and he said like, "Oh, you have to start your own business." And I was like, "Okay, no problem. What kind of a business?" And he saw a scaffolding somewhere and he said like, "Oh, you have to start a construction business." And I was like, "Okay, the only problem is I know nothing about construction. So I know how to use the hammer." And he said something to me like, "Listen, don't build yourself a job, create a system, create a business." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know what that mean, but I'll go ahead with it." The next day I started my business, and in about a week or two I found my first customer, and this is how I started everything.
No, in just a week's time, you found your first customer. Okay, so
Yeah,
what were you
yeah.
doing then? What is this construction business that you got yourself into, and how did you scale that? Like, I want to
Well,
know the real raw stories behind it.
hmm.
So not just the glossy side of things.
So my mentor Patrick, he said like, "Okay, you have to print some business cards." It was 21 years ago, not like today. So I was like, "Oh, business cards, okay, no problem." So he recommended the show. I printed those business cards in about 2 or 3 days. I started putting like I've been using a website called Gumtree. Gumtree in the UK is something like, how's it called, like I can't remember the name of it in America. It's basically when you pull all the ads and people sell stuff. It's like a marketplace for today, right? And
Like
basically,
Craigslist?
like Craigslist, correct. That's
Ah,
exactly what it
okay.
is.
Okay.
Well, it used to be. It's not that big anymore, but it was big. And I put some ads on Gumtree saying that like, hey, there's established construction companies looking for new workers and contractors. Established, right? And I get a lot of attention, you know. And at the same time, I started advertising myself that established construction company run by a 19-year-old, guy is basically, this is how I found
The
my first.
audacity.
Yeah, and I said
But
like
you gotta be
because
bold. Yeah.
oh yeah, I was very bold. I had no idea what I was doing, by the way, but I just did it. I just go with the flow, like as Richard Branson says, screw it, just do it. And I did, and I 100% did. But
Are you stuck in a job that you don't love, feeling like you're meant for more? It is not in your head, it is in your soul. I am Nick Nieras, and I help high achievers like you break free from burnout, rewire self-doubt, and build a life aligned with purpose through coaching, hypnotherapy, and soul activation. Because let's face it, real wealth isn't just about money, it is about aligned and happy heart, mind, and soul. Now, remember, you are worthy and you are enough. Let's transform your life together. Visit www.thenicknieras.holisticlifestyle.com to begin.
Patrick said like, no, you have to be bold. You have to say that you have 30 years of experience. And I was like, I am 19. You know that. And he was like, no, 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 you don't understand. This is not how marketing works. If you have 7 construction workers and each of them have some years of experience, if you add it up, eventually it will be 30. And so you will use that. And my name was Jake's Builders, over 30 years of experience in construction, blah, 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 something like that. But anyway, it worked. It worked. I found my first customer. And somehow, but I remember like today, I think I told him, I can't remember what was the price. Let's say I told him like £5,000 to renovate this coffee shop near Liverpool Street. And let's say I told him £5,000 and he agreed. And then I called him in about a day and I said like, no, no, it was not enough. It's not 5,000. It's actually
Oh my God.
7,000. And he said, oh, why is that? And I explained, I can't remember what did I say. I mean, I wouldn't do something like this today. I would be ashamed. But back
Worth.
then I was just like, yeah, okay, two more thousand, 2,000 pounds more. But anyway, somehow it worked, And I remember like today when I was interviewing construction teams, and some contractors in coffee shops, like in Starbucks, basically. I had my notebook and I was rating them. Oh, this team is good, 4 stars, and this team is amazing, 5-star, and this guy was drunk, so only 2.5 stars. And yeah, anyway, and I found that first customer, and I found the first team, and basically I put them all together, and I made, I can't remember how much made. I think it was about not even £1,000 profit in about 3 weeks time, but £1,000, that was a lot of money by then, at least for
Yeah.
me, by
Mhm.
almost not
It
doing
is.
anything. I didn't do any
Exactly.
work. But yeah, this is how it started, and then I built it to a few million turnover, and then in 2007-8 credit crunch, I lost everything, and I have to start all over again.
So what was different now that you had to restart everything after the credit crunch?
Going back to my conversation with Patrick, my first mentor, he actually told me something like that. He said, and remember, you have to lose everything 3 times, or you have to go bankrupt 3 times to become a proper entrepreneur. And I was like, whatever, okay, whatever that means. And then in 2008, when I lost everything and more, because, I had clients that owe me money. So they basically said like, that £50,000 we own you, so we don't have it. Goodbye. Um, so, and I called Patrick and I said like, man, I lost everything. I have to liquidate the company. I am broke. I lost everything. And he said like, oh, congratulations, 2 more to go. Bye. and
Who
I
is this
thought,
Patrick? I must meet him myself.
yeah, but he was right. It's like there's no time to cry. Just start again, and which I did. And 6 months later, I bought myself a nice Mercedes Benz. Maybe not brand new one, but it was a good one. It's just like you can't give
It
up. You
was a
just
revenge, or was it like really from the money that you made from starting
no
a
money that they
company?
made. I just started all over again.
Congratulations. Wow. You turn around.
Yeah, I mean, you always have two choices in life. Either you can give up or you can keep going. I always say to people, bounce, don't break. If you go down, make sure that you bounce, but you don't break. And we always bounce. Whatever happened to us, we always have those two choices. Either you can bounce or you can break. So don't
Mm,
break.
I love it. And then you branch into digital marketing and
Yeah, later on, yeah, I started that construction business again. This business actually still exists. I'm not running it anymore. It doesn't belong to me anymore.
you
Uh,
sold
I,
it
I
off.
no, I just stepped out. I never liked construction at all, to be honest with you.
You
It
like
was
the money.
I like the money, but I didn't have the heart for it anymore. It was like it's just like dealing with construction people and dealing with customers, and there's nothing. I mean, it's business like any other. It's just it wasn't my business. I much prefer doing digital marketing or actually coaching and helping other people. This is what I love doing. Construction, not so much, but at the same time, I always say to people who want to start their own business or side hustle or they want to create something, it's just it doesn't really matter what your first business is going to be, because probably you're not going to end up running that business. It happened occasionally to people that they will start the first business and they will succeed. Usually they will succeed with the third or fourth or fifth business, sometimes even number 10. But usually it's not the first one. So I always say to people, it doesn't really matter. Like I'm not in construction anymore, but you have to start somewhere, and it doesn't matter what it is, because at the beginning you're just learning all the basics, all the fundamentals, like marketing and selling and pricing and lead generation and stuff like that. So it doesn't really matter.
Yes, 1000%. So tell us, Jake, the now you're into marketing, right? So I'm a coach myself. So let's say those people tuning in right now, they want to learn marketing. Marketing course 101. What do we all need to know and do? Hi, I'm Nick Nieras, your host of the Your Worthless podcast. Now, if this real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait. Your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
Interestingly enough, I will get to kind of a fundamental thing. What is it that you want? As cliche as it sounds, what is it that you want from your business first? Because if you're only going for money, you're going to fail eventually.
I love that.
There are some people who own, but money is great. Don't take me wrong. When people say like, money can't bring you happiness, I always say like, I think you're shopping at the wrong shop, man. Because
I like sitting in my Benz too.
because someone who say that was probably very rich, and what they meant was like a lot more money when you already have a lot of money won't bring you happiness. But if you have zero and then suddenly you have money, it will bring you happiness. Sometimes I say to people, imagine that there is a lady and her daughter is very ill and she needs an operation, and she must pay, let's say, $100,000 for that operation. Tell her in her face, look at her eyes and say that money can bring happiness. It's just like she needs 100K to save her daughter, which means money can bring happiness.
That's right.
But again, if it's only money that you're after, that's wrong. So when you want to start a business or you want to start a side hustle, you have to ask yourself, what is it that you want? Is it freedom? Yes, wanting money. There's nothing wrong with wanting money, but it must be more than that. I run my businesses. I always wanted to have a business to help my mom, help my brother, have freedom. I want to do whatever I want to do. I am built in such a way that I can't have a job. If I have a job, I would probably fire my boss straight away. Like, don't
Or
tell
just
me what to do.
yes, just
So,
cause the ruckus in the office and have the HR give you a letter. Yeah, I can relate.
So when you ask, like, whatever it's running a business, marketing, anything, you have to know what is it that you want. For example, who is your client? I always say to people, if you say everyone is my client, then no one is your client. You have to know exactly who it is. Is it male, female, age, etc. Everything. It's very, in marketing, this is very, the more precise you are, the chances that you will get more clients are going so much higher. And that's why about 10 years ago, I created something that I call the Vision GPS. It's a framework or a coaching model, however you want to call it. And the vision is something that you are after. The vision is your dream or dream life or Northern Star or however you want to call it, something that you want to achieve. Something, the destination. And the GPS, it's an acronym from goals, planning process, and systems. And when you have that GPS in place, it will act exactly the same like the GPS in your car. It will take you to your destination, but only if you know what the destination is. Because most people, they have no idea what they want in life. They have no idea what they want from their business. They have no idea what they want from their relationship with other people. Most people, they will plan their wedding, they will plan the vacation, and probably that's it. And then the rest, it will be like random. They will be floating in life, like, oh, I just hit something. What is it? Oh, it's a new job. I'll take it. But life shouldn't be like this. Life should be planned. When people say like, but you cannot plan most things in your life, you would be surprised how much you can actually plan. I understand that random thing happened to us. There's a beautiful book by Nicholas Taleb called The Black Swan. Basically, it's talking about things that happen that we cannot predict, like a pandemic, for example. Interestingly enough, we probably could predict pandemic, but that's another conversation. But let's say pandemic was a black swan, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, we cannot go outside. We have to only watch Netflix. No, you can also start working on your side hustle, or you can start reading more books, or you can just do something else, because it's not what happened to us, it's what we do with what happened to us. So once we know what we want from life, from business, from anything, from relationship, it's so much easier to get it if we clear about it. Because most people don't know. Most people, if you ask them, what is it that you want? I want more money. Okay, give me an amount. And they don't know. Sometimes what I do when I have people coming to me in person for a coaching session or initial consultation session, if they tell me that like, hey, I want more money, I will take £5 from my pocket, I will give it to them, and I say like, now you have more
Here you
money.
go.
And they will be like, no, you don't understand. I need a lot more money. Okay, no problem. I'll give them £10. And I say like, now you have a lot more money. And they'll be like, no, you don't understand. I need a lot more. So I'll give them £20 and I say like, now you have plenty of money. That's a lot more. And they say like, no, you don't understand. I need a lot more money. I was like, that's not an amount. How can you count a lot? Also, there's no such a day in the calendar as one day. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one day. It's not there. So you cannot start dieting one day. You have to set a date. And that's why in coaching, we have something that is called SMART goals: specific, measurable, right?
Attainable.
Yes, correct. There's time, but there's always a deadline.
Yes.
But they have to be smart. Look, the vision could be very big. If I have someone come to me and they say like, hey, I want to make millions of pounds, dollars, euros, whatever, right? Well, you see, you have to be a little bit more specific, because millions could be 2 or 999. So be a little bit more specific. Let's start if you just want 1 million, okay? And if I ask them and they say like, if I ask them, how much do you make now? And they say £1,000 a year, I'll be like, well, you see, that's the problem. Because 1 million, it's a good vision, but it's not really a good goal, because your brain will never ever believe that you can make 1 million, because you probably never even saw a 1 million in your entire life.
Yeah.
The jump between 27,000 and a million is just too big. You're going to break your legs. The better goal is, if you're making 27, 25 or 30, go from 25 to 50, and then from 50 to 100, and then from 100 to 200, and then 400, and then 800, and then eventually to a million. You will get there, but you have to be smart about it. That's why 1 million, it's a great vision, but it's not a very good goal. It depends. Well, it depends for who, because if someone is making 750 thousand a year, for them 1 million is not that far away, which it is a good goal, right? So we have
That's
to
right.
we have to be smart about our goals always. But anyway, going back to that vision, if you know what you want, sometimes I have people like, I'm not a visionary person, like I'm not like Steve Jobs, like, oh, have a vision. It's like, listen, you don't have to be like Steve Jobs. That's your vision. You don't have to be like Bill Gates, having a vision that everyone will have a PC on their desk one day, which actually happened, right? We actually have a PC in
Yeah.
our pockets,
Yes.
but it's your vision, but at the same time, don't dream small, dream big. Because when you dream big, only if you achieve half of it, you still, so much ahead than most people. But then you have to have smart goals. And then you have to have a planning process in place, not just the plan. I always explain to people that there's a massive difference between a plan and a planning process, because a plan is fixed. If you have a plan and suddenly pandemic happened, you can't follow your plan anymore, because it's just you can't. But the planning process is flexible. You can adjust to a situation. If you cannot go to work because we have pandemic, you can work from home, you can use the internet and stuff like that. And then you need different systems in place. Like you are in marketing, for example, the easiest system to say is Google Ads or search engine optimization, or something like that. Those are systems that work 24/7 for you when you even sleep. Once you have all of those, goals, planning process, and systems in place, that GPS will take you to your vision, but only if you know what the vision is.
How important is SEO, since you touch SEO a bit?
It depends. For me, it's very important because I'm very good at SEO, or my agency is. But I am
Mm.
one of those people who will go deep.
Why should we pay attention to SEO? I mean, like, if it's a layman's term, what is SEO and why should we pay attention to SEO?
For example, I'm sure that you use one of those AI tools like ChatGPT or something like that. If
That's
you
right.
ask, a lot more people stop using Google, they will start using, let's say, ChatGPT, and they will ask ChatGPT, like, who is the best business coach in London, for example. You want to be in an answer, right? And I am. Like, for example, I have people coming to me like, hey, ChatGPT suggested me to you, or hey, Perplexity
Wow.
suggested me to you, right? Because search engine optimization is not search engine optimization anymore, it's search everywhere optimization. So yeah, but yeah, SEO it's important. If you want to run a business, you definitely want to use SEO, but it needs to be combined with a few more different systems and techniques, like probably paid advertising and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, at least this, my strategy when I do marketing for myself and for my clients is, I always say, you have to dominate. You want to be at the top of the top. You want so many people. That there's a beautiful book written by Daniel Priestley called Oversubscribed. And basically you want to have so many prospects coming your way that you are so oversubscribed that you can just choose who you want to work with. And if people can see you everywhere, like, hey, paid ads and Facebook and YouTube and SEO, suddenly people will trust you, because the more time people will see your face or will see your logo, the trust will go up a little bit. It's a simple psychology. It was proven by Professor Robin Dunbar that the more times people will see you or your logo or your brand, the more they trust you. And because in marketing, you probably know that people need to see your logo between 7 to 14 times before they really start trusting you. That's why Mercedes-Benz and BMW and Coca-Cola and Pepsi, they keep advertising. Everybody knows Coca-Cola. Maybe only a few people in the world that wouldn't know what Coca-Cola is. And they still spend billions of billions of dollars and pounds and euros on advertising. Why? Because they want to make sure that people will buy their product, not somebody else's product.
Wow. Wow, I needed that. Thank you so much for that short coaching session with me. Thank you.
That's all right.
Okay, Jake, you've built businesses across multiple industries. What are the universal success principles that work no matter the niche?
I will always say, first of all, know what is it that you want. So what's your vision? What do you want to build? What do you want to achieve? So that's number one. And whatever business you are building, including non-profit organization or charities, because I also built a non-profit from 2 volunteers to over 600 volunteers, and that's a lot of people. You have to delegate. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to learn how to delegate. Often I meet people, especially people who will come to me, looking for coaching. They've got that syndrome that which I called Superwoman or Superman syndrome. They want to do everything themselves, or they want to, micromanage. No, you have to let it go. What if they're not going to do it as well as I will? Believe me, there's thousands of people out there who will do it way better than you, way better than you. And there's nothing wrong with it, because these days it's so easy to delegate. This day you can just go to ChatGPT and delegate a lot of research, for example, to ChatGPT, because everything is changing. Everything is changing. Marketing. Google used to have 80% of the market. Now they have only about 18%. They're still big. It's not that they shrinked. It's just everything changed. 8 billion searches a day on Google, 1 billion searches or probably more on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is taking over. People don't understand that 15 years ago, we used to Google everything. Now, even if you want to buy, now you go to ChatGPT. If you want to buy something, you're not Googling it. You go to Amazon. Amazon is not a shop. It's a search engine.
Yes, perfect. Whoa. Okay, Jake, what are you working on currently?
To be honest with you, I'm working on my coaching business. I'm just keep growing, keep getting better, keep learning. I have fascinating clients, and every single client always bring such an interesting challenge. Don't want to say problem, but let's say challenge. There's always something interesting to work, including SEO. To be honest with you.
So, what do you think is next for you then?
To be honest with you, I just continue doing what I'm doing. I will be coaching until I die, basically, whatever it's going to be 10 years or hopefully 50 years from now, or maybe even 60, right? Because I love doing it. A lot of my good friends and sometimes colleagues and even clients say like, oh, you should go to a bigger stage. You should go on the stage and do like coaching in masses. And I was like, sure, I can do it, but still someone need to do one-on-one.
Just that one-on-one, that connection, that seeing them through that stage.
What I want is just eventually I want to be, if not one of the best coach on this planet. Maybe I will make it, maybe not, but I'm definitely working on myself to get better and better so I can help one entrepreneur or one person at a time. They can make, because you see, if I help one person, then this entrepreneur will help 10, 20, 30 employees and their families, which, okay, maybe I work one-on-one, but I'm helping in a big way.
Yes. And you're devoting your time and effort and attention to them.
That's 100%.
That's a beautiful way to look at it. Wow. Thank you for the work that you do, Jake. I am very, very inspired. Okay, Jake, we're going to pivot to a self-worth question. So there's no right or wrong answer to this. So the question that I have for you today is, self-worth is often tied to achievements and accomplishments. How can individuals maintain a strong sense of self-worth even during challenging times or when faced with failures?
You see, I always say that to people, be prepared. Be prepared. I'm not a very religious person, but I like the Bible, for example. It's a very good book. And in Bible, they said, during a bad time or during the good time, don't build your house on the sand, build it on the rock. Why? Because bad times will come, and if you build it on the sand, you will not survive. You have to build it on a rock, which means if there's a good time is a preparation for the bad time. Most people, when the bad times come, they are surprised. Like, I didn't know. Like, no, life is like that. Good and bad. Good and bad. The bad things always coming, and you have to be prepared. I don't want to be dramatic or something like that, but for example, your parents eventually will die. And that's sad, but you cannot be sad for months or years. You have to let it go. because I'm sure your parents would love you to let it go rather than just be upset for the 5, 10 years. The same thing when bad things happen to us, or your deal will not work out, or your business will go bankrupt. It's just like, it's one of those things, it will happen, and be prepared. Be like a rock. It's just like, okay, it happened, we have to move forward. Be prepared for bad things and enjoy good things. Because I always say to people, amazing things happen to us, but they not happen every single day, not even every single week. At the same time, bad things happen to us, but also they're not happening, every single day. But also in between those, there are small little things that happen that are nice, and we should really appreciate that. And there are those little bad things that happen to us, and we just need to accept it, and that's it. Don't cry about it, because things happen. Okay, so what? Just keep going.
I love that.
and
Thank
and
you.
in such a way, you know that things will happen, you know that you're going to have bad days. Just accept it, like yourself. That's not your fault. And I always say, if you have a bad day, just go to a mirror and say, I love you. Or if you can't say I love you, just say I like you, until you start liking yourself, until you start loving yourself.
Wow, thank you for that, Jake. What is your heart's greatest wish?
My wish,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest with you, I wish more people actually like themselves more and accept themselves. Because
Oh, that hit hard.
sometimes people they
Oh,
think
I
like,
felt that in my
mm,
core.
and one of the easiest thing to help with, like, there are a lot of those personality tests out there, and sometimes, and I'm not saying they will tell you exactly who you are, but a lot of those tests, they are built in such a way that they will help you at least understand who you are a little bit more. Like, why I like spending time alone, because you are probably an introvert, or there's nothing wrong with it. Extroverts spend time with people, introverts much prefer to spend time alone, or at least a little bit more alone. Not that because they're lonely, because they just like being alone. That's it. Two different things. But yeah, I wish people could understand, or at least seek for that understanding a little bit more, learn about themselves a little bit more, etc., etc.
Yeah. I went into my own, I would say, journey within. And the first thing I went into was taking as many personality tests as I could because I couldn't understand what was happening to me. Yes, I had difficulties thrown my way, and it felt like I was the only one with the problems in the world. Like, why me? The woe
Yeah.
is me, right? So I went ahead, and because at the time I didn't know what the beliefs that I had was no longer resonating with me. So it was like I lost myself. And it wasn't, those personality tests, I mean, they weren't the end all be all, but they guided me to get to my next step and then recover and heal. So that's a very, very good call out. Thank you, Jake.
That's all right.
Okay, so if you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening in the world as your legacy, what would it
You don't have to move mountains, you just have to conquer them. Which means, you don't have to change the entire world, but you can change yourself.
Wow. Nuggets after nuggets here. Okay. You don't have to change the world, you just have to start with yourself first.
A lot of people, they want to help others, but the problem is, if you still have a problem with yourself, it's going to be very difficult to help others. It's very nice. We all want to help other people. That's most people. You see, most people are good people. There's only a few bad people out there. Unfortunately, news talking about them all the time. That's why we think there's a lot of bad people. But most people are nice people. Most people are lovely people. And it's great. And we all want to help other people, but at the same time you have to help yourself first, and then you can help others. It's the same like when you fly somewhere on the airplane. They will always tell you, like, there's an oxygen mask, put it on yourself first, and then you can help your children. They not tell you like, hey, help your children first. No, because if you help your children, you will help your children, and then you will die, and there will be no one to take care of those children. So that's why I always say, I like what Benjamin Franklin said one day. He said, if you want to help poor people, don't become one of them. And it's a great quote, because, like, help yourself first and then you can help others.
Oh, yes. Super powerful. Okay, Jake, thank you for today. So now how can people reach out to you?
You can just Google me or Chat GPT me, and just Google Jake Smolarek, and fortunately, there's not that many Jake Smolareks out there, so you can easily find me.
Okay, awesome. So, Jake, any last message before we wrap the interview up?
Oh my God, I could talk for hours.
I know.
So
I could have you on for another episode, though.
we
This
should.
is
Well, I
good.
think we should.
Yes. Maybe in the next few months. So we'll do that. We'll do just that.
Yes. So yeah, let's leave it for another episode then. Let's leave it for
Yes.
another episode.
Okay. All right. Well, so that is a wrap on today's inspiring episode with Jake Smolarek. Jake, thank you so much for your work, for continuing to uplift the world around you and the people around you. And for our listeners, this has been Your Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you've ever felt worthless, remember you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. A huge thank you to you again, Jake, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nick Nieras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember you are worthy and you are enough. Thank you for your time, Jake, and see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye. Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to @holistic.lifestyle_with_Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.deninieras.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check on your soul path. And if you're also wanting to check on your energetic alignment, I have done that too. And I offer that kind of services. So, my question to you is, are you ready? Because I am. Let's create your life together. Good afternoon to you, Jake. How are you doing today?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing very well too. Thank you so much for asking and for saying yes to be interviewed today. I'd like to introduce myself to you formally and to all of our listeners tuning in for the first time and or returning subscribers. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled Your Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Today we are going to talk about gaining clarity and having that momentum. And we have Jake Smolarek here with us. I hope I pronounced that last name correctly. So, Jake, I'd like to introduce you to all of our listeners first before we get right into our conversation.
Sure. I am a business coach and an entrepreneur. I would say I am an entrepreneur first. I've been running businesses for over 20 years. And now I help other entrepreneurs and business owners help them with their businesses and lives at the same time, especially with finding that inner focus on what is it that you actually want to do in your life.
So, hello everyone. We have Jake here with us. He is, like he said, a high performance coach and entrepreneur with over 2 decades in business and 17 years in coaching. Now, he helps people scale fast, build smarter, and create businesses that serve their lives. Now, he also runs a coaching practice, digital marketing agency, and a lead generation business. So today he will share with us bold insights, real world strategies, and no bullshit frameworks we can all apply right away to grow with clarity and momentum. Welcome to the show again, Jake.